Hello and good morning to all of you from around the world. I want to welcome you to another edition of This Morning with Soulivity, broadcasting live from our studio right here in Washington, D.C., and on KMET 1490 AM in Southern California. My name is Brian Wesley Johnson, and I'm so glad you're here with us. I'm joined today by my very special friend, Sheila Applegate. Good morning, Sheila.
Good morning, Brian.
How are you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling great. I had a wonderful weekend.
Oh man, yes, and you're gonna have to tell us more about that weekend a little bit later on because you did something special on Saturday, and so I
Yes.
want to hear. I want to hear all about it, just between you and a few thousand friends. Listen, we've got a great show today. We're going to be talking about news stories from around our country here in the United States, but specifically stories that talk about the arc of justice. Martin Luther King's speech talked about, the arc of justice is long. The arc of equality is long, but it bends toward justice. So we wanted to kind of talk about that today in context. So before we begin, I want to let everybody know, listen, we want your questions, your comments, your thoughts. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can post those directly to the chat and we'll do shout outs to you. Let us know where you're listening from too, because we want to know, what country you're in and that kind of thing. We want to know who's listening. So, Sheila, I want to start today with this wonderful news from right here in the nation's capital. I've been excited all morning long to kind of share this. This is from Swim Swam magazine. They reported this, and that the Howard Bison swimming and diving team was the most unlikely story to steal the 2022-2023 NCAA season, but they've done just that, starting with a roar and ending with an eruption to win their first conference title in 34 years on Saturday. I'm going to put a
Awesome.
picture of them up here so people can kind of see these beautiful faces. After finishing runners up last year at last year's Northeast Conference Championships, the Bison men won the 2023 title, which is the program's first conference title since 1989. Now, Howard University is the only collegiate swim team in the country where all members of the team are Black. That includes coaches and support staff. They are also the only surviving swim team at the historically Black college and university. And then they say, as Black History Month winds down, Howard University's swimming and diving team is becoming a touch point, creating outside of the sport, capturing new eyeballs, and making a difference. How cool is that?
That is exciting. Very cool.
Wow, wow. So I just want to kind of do a shout out to, Howard University. They always say HU, you know. Just want to do a shout out to them. But Sheila, there's some news that you wanted to share. That is still, I think this is coming out of Florida, I think.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, coming out of Florida. I want you to tell people about that news story.
To me, this is an exciting news story, but it is, juxtaposed against the struggle that we're having in our country. But um, we've already talked about how in Florida that they're fighting against some of the education and allowing students to learn the truth about our country and Black history, and specifically focusing on the critical race theory, which is one way of teaching it. But um, in in response to this, there was a walkout across many colleges in Florida, as well as many high school students just walked out at the same time to protest it. And they're standing up to really say, we want to choose, especially at the college level. I think that's,
Mm-hmm.
crazy. At any level, I think it's crazy
Yeah.
that we would be withholding information as part of our education. So to me, it's just inspiring that there was a walkout of younger folk who are just saying, no, we have a right to learn. And there, in addition to it, there's the Dream Defenders is a group of Black and brown anti-racism activists.
Mhm.
They're
Mhm.
also hosting a Black History Teach-ins. So thinking of the 60s with the sit-ins,
Wow.
to me, it's just like there's an excitement that we're maybe on another cycle of this movement forward, even though we're seeing also so much in the news about what feels like moving backwards.
Yeah, this story comes out of, again, this is another ABC News story, um, where these students walked out of the classrooms of University of South Florida, University of Florida, Florida State University, and more in opposition to his efforts there. And just to kind of give people a little bit of backstory on this, um, there's a law that is being that well, it's a bill that's being passed through the Florida House. It's HB 999, which is just kind of like crazy that they would pick those threes, but that's a whole nother thing. Um, that would help the governor achieve the goal of banning colleges and universities from having programs on diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as critical race theory. It would bar funds for any of these people to have any of this. Um, it would also remove diversity, equity, inclusion efforts or policies that impact hiring practices. So that was another piece. I
Mhm.
thought too, what was really interesting, they were also protesting gender affirming care, like data collected on gender affirming care. So,
Right.
um,
Well, yeah. Yeah, let's just clarify. The data is that they're
right,
putting in a law that teachers would have to report if someone came to talk to them or receive any help for it. And
right,
so it's putting the transgender community in risk uh,
right.
and vulnerability. So, yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
wow. I mean, really? Really? I mean, I just, Sheila, I went when you shared this story, um, I think it's like the intersection between politics and racism and discrimination and prejudice all wrapped up into one.
Right.
Like I don't know whether or not DeSantis really believes this stuff, or or what's worse, whether he believes it or not, or that he's just using it as a political tool.
Right. I definitely believe that it's a political tool that's being used right now.
Yeah.
People found that it was effective, and they're just trying to take it as far as they can go. It's like a new way of trying to reach a base, but they're not realizing that it's not working. I mean, it
Yeah.
looks like it on the surface, and we're coming out of a space where it really, everything was brought to the surface. But um, no, I don't see how that it is, because more and more people are standing up and hearing the truth.
Mhm, mhm. And this whole, like, I was having this debate with this one guy on Twitter. Oh, actually later on became like a friend because we actually had a constructive debate
Nice.
on woke, right? What does it
Mhm.
mean to be woke? And so DeSantis has this
Yeah.
so-called Stop Woke Act, and just to let people know, there's a specific definition of what woke means that has been in the Black community for a long time. And it
Interesting.
has to mainly do with being aware of experiences, situations, around what it means to be Black in America. Like, I'll give you a great example. Like, when a father has the talk with their son, they're passing down
Mhm.
information that they can use so that they are aware of what's happening in their world, right? You're awake.
Mhm.
You know what's happening. You're not sleeping, right?
Right.
And so I just hate the fact that this term has been like politicized and redefined in that kind of way where it's like, oh, well, you don't have to be woke, right? What do you think about that? What do
Yeah.
you
Well, I was thinking of woke as from that's used in the spiritual community too, non-religious
Well, yes.
spiritual, like,
Yes.
you're awakened, you
Right.
understand things there. So I hadn't really even made that connection that you just made to
Mhm.
the awareness in the Black communities. And it just it's I don't it actually I not to be rude, but it almost made me chuckle. It's like they're just so blatantly obvious
Yeah,
that it's
exactly.
almost like coded for people to see the truth
Wink,
within
wink.
the yeah.
Wink, wink, nudge,
Like,
nudge.
"No, we don't want you to know about yourself. We don't want" like yeah, it's just very wild to me.
Right.
The yeah. And the younger generation, I know that there are pockets within the younger generations that have been indoctrinated so deeply that they are not aware of things and can't see the layers. But for the most part, like, these are college students and high school students that are protesting this. They're voters. Like, even the high school students are only 2 years or so away from voting.
Right.
And to me, that's exciting.
Absolutely. I mean, um, DeSantis said in the news conference back in January regarding this law, he said, "I think people want to see true academics, and they want to get rid of some of the political window dressing that seems to accompany all of this." And again, I
Mhm.
kind of chuckle. I'm like, that's been the norm in education forever, right? It's kind of like he who holds the goal,
Mhm.
makes the rules. And
Right.
so the rules have always been that true history, a fuller history of our country isn't told, and that's what is being taught. I think we'll go to break in a minute, but I want to open the next um, segment with a quick conversation that me and my wife Sasha had about caste. In fact, she's actually
Mm.
reading that. I know you love that
I know,
that
I love
that
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 book. I
and information that's in there that is so critical to understanding not just slavery, but its effect on America and the world. I mean, there's world events that were part of this. So, listen, everybody, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to keep talking about our hot topics around the nation and got even more great things to talk about. So, we'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Hi there, Sheila Applegate here with some exciting news. I've joined the incredible Soulivity team as the host of the new Consciously Awesome live show, where I will be sharing insights to help you discover your full brilliance and claim the vibrant life you deserve. So tune in every Wednesday right here on Soulivity TV to join the fun, and remember to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss a single episode. Have an awesome week, and I will see you on Wednesday.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame. Living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
And we're back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. I'm joined by my beautiful friend and TV co-host, Sheila Applegate. Hey, Sheila.
Hey.
We've got another story that is from the ABC News that's coming out of Virginia, near the nation's capital, in regards to Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, who's actually reviewing the Advanced Placement African American Studies course that was recently banned in Florida. I think that was recently banned, and now they're still going through review.
Right.
I wanted to bring this up because, again, we were talking about history, and Sheila, you were talking about the fact that, we down in Florida, I mean, here's DeSantis who's down there, and we can't even talk fully and more openly about the history of our country.
Right. Yeah. And now pockets are trying to continue with that, but it's not possible because the
Right.
truth is coming out,
Right, exactly. And this story goes after numerous reports about draft course content, the governor asked the Education Secretariat to review the College Board's proposed AP African American Studies course as it pertains to Executive Order Number 1. Now, Executive Order Number 1, which was signed in January of 2022, restricts or limits inherently divisive concepts and critical race theory teaching in schools. Okay, so here we go again with this critical race theory thing.
Right.
Sheila, you've read Caste, right? Or are you still reading, or
Yes.
you've read it, right?
I read it, yeah.
Right.
I should read it again. I read
Yeah.
it like a year or two ago. Yeah.
My wife Sasha has been reading this, and we went to brunch yesterday, and she brought up a great point that's in that book about the connection between American slavery and the institution and system of American slavery and Nazism and the whole thing that happened during the Holocaust there.
Right.
That Hitler and the Nazis used American slavery as their model for how to corral, oppress, and then kill these folks.
Right. And not just American slavery, even the racism, the caste system used to keep the races in order, that occurred after that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
so
unbelievable when you see that, like, they actually learned from Oz. And all my life, well, like, as long as I'd been learning about Nazi Germany and, never again, and all that propaganda that we got in school, there was something inside of me saying, this isn't right. There's something going on. They're hiding. They're like trying to hide behind this as a country, and the older I got, the more I was like, what is this? And then I read that. I'm like, oh, there it is. Look over here. Don't look at our country. Look over here. We would never be like that. And here we were.
And imagine if, and we were just, and this is what the main part of our conversation was about. We were like, imagine if from the very beginning, when you're learning about, like, my guess is you probably wouldn't learn about the Holocaust until you're probably in high school, right? I mean, that's probably a touchier subject. But imagine if from the moment that you're learning more in depth about American history and world history, that connection, how it would affect you, how it would change
Right.
your perception about how brutal it must have been really brutal for 400 years for
Right.
Hitler to go, yeah, that's the ticket.
That's the way to do it. But and it's still here, that's the thing. This
Right,
isn't a
right,
history from the past that they
right.
did this. Like, not only is it not, that long ago in history, but we didn't change it.
No,
This whole
no, right.
checking your race in the boxes of forms and stuff, that's not done in other countries.
No.
Um, and the systemic racism, and that's what is in the critical race theory that people are so afraid of.
Yeah, when I spent several years working in Germany, and one huge difference between how, you know, you know, ethnically Germans or the people who I met related to race was, oh, this is your cultural ancestry, right? And they were very
Mhm.
interested in knowing about it. The people who, again, the people who I met, knowing
Right.
about it and that kind of thing. And but there was no such thing as an African German. Like everybody was German, and that
Mhm.
you
Right.
and that your ancestry, you come from African descent, right? Which was a
Right.
big difference than here, where Americans are segmented because that's the
Mhm.
way that the system was put in place, so that
Right.
everybody would be separated, and everybody, and that there's some people who are more American than others, right? I
Right.
just, yeah, just, so all these things, this intersection of different things that's happening right now is really, really wild, right?
Mhm. Yeah, and as much as there's a fight to keep truth away, it's out more than it ever has been, which is
Right.
exciting too,
Yeah, yeah. I love um Anthony Goddard, who's the president of the United Faculty of Florida Union, was talking about again, this is regards to the AP courses that were currently banned in Florida, but also again they're being banned in or looking at being banned in other states. And I love that he was talking about like critical race theory, which is taught at university and colleges, seeks to understand how racism shaped U.S. laws. And he says students in a higher education classroom should be educated on what this is so that they can make their own decisions about how
Right.
they feel about it. Isn't that what education is? I mean,
It is right.
wow. Yeah, I mean, people aren't telling you what to feel, but they're giving you the information. So, listen, we're going to take another
That's what
break.
the ideal
Yeah,
of education is. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. We're gonna continue on this, everybody. I mean, this is a great hot topics day. We got more great news to share, so we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be back in 2 minutes. Hey there, this is Brian with Soulivity.com. I want to share some exciting news about our new Aspire Academy by Soulivity. Now, you probably want to know what the Aspire Academy by Soulivity is. Well, it exclusively connects you with people around the globe and who share the intense desire to improve themselves and create a better life for themselves today. There's classes, there's workshops, there's live events, and even more exclusively just for you. You see, I wanted you to have a safe space where you could grow, you can learn, and it would empower you in all aspects of your life, including your mind, your body, and your soul. So how do you get started? Well, it is so easy. First of all, the best part, joining Aspire Academy is absolutely free. Just click on the Join Now button, sign up, and begin your journey. As a special part of this invitation to you, there are some free courses that are available
for you to try from our amazing roster of coaches and collaborators. It's our way of saying thank you for all of your support and being with us along our journey of expansion. I hope you enjoyed the Aspire Academy by Soulivity today. Start the process. Learn more about your passion, your purpose, and how to live a higher quality life.
And we're back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. You know, Sheila, I love that commercial.
It's an
And I'm
awesome commercial. You're
right,
amazing.
right. You know, and I just want to take a moment of privilege and just letting everybody know that there's great things happening at Aspire. We've got a lot of different courses that are going on there. Sheila, you've got another fantastic Matrix of Illumination coming up on March the 8th.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's so much stuff going on. I think we'll probably at some point have to just do maybe a whole show on like what's happening there.
All the
Um,
things. Yeah.
yeah, all the cool things that are happening. So just want to let people know about that. We're talking about news stories that are like hot topics for me and Sheila this morning. And we're going to turn to some really amazing news. This is in counterpoint to the earlier segment on
Right.
the African Americans AP Studies course, which is currently being reviewed by the Virginia governor. This was actually out of Politico. And it reads, Virginia State Senator Jennifer McClellan overwhelmingly won a Tuesday special election for a vacant Richmond-based congressional district, making her the state's first Black woman elected to Congress. I mean,
Yay.
woohoo! I mean,
Yeah.
I'm still a little blown away that this is the
Well,
first.
right. There's always that.
In this year of the Lord
Right.
2023, the first Black woman ever elected in Virginia is going to Congress. I mean,
Right.
I was like, when I saw this story, Sheila, I was like, really? No, no, that couldn't be. No, I mean,
Source
so you
check
saw this story. What were
it.
your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I guess the same thing. Like it's exciting. And then it's like, okay, that's just happening now. Um, both of those things go on. And then that same juxtaposition that we've been talking about, because I saw this article right after seeing about the issues with the critical race theories
Right.
in Virginia. And so to me, it just is affirming that the politicians that are using this rhetoric and this fear-based mongering do not understand the people.
No.
They do not know the base. And so as irritating as it is to have that in our face all the time, I
Mhm.
think we have to look at what's really happening
Right.
beyond the talking points. And
Right.
this is something that happened, you know,
Right.
they voted for her in that same
Absolutely.
state. So
And just to put an exclamation point on what you're saying so that people really understand if they haven't read this story. McClellan led 68% to
yeah,
32% over the Republican when the Associated Press called the race with 32%. This is with 32% of the
right,
reporting. And then when it was almost 100, it was at 98% as of today. She's winning that race, or she won that race by almost 50 points.
right. That's incredible.
That's
Right,
insane.
right.
That's
And it just showed, right? That's
insane.
the thing. Like it's
Right.
showing the same extremeness in
Exactly.
what people really want.
Exactly. And just to let people know about her challenger was an election denier. He was also black, by the way. He was black, and he was Republican, and he was also an election denier. So that tells you where where people are with
Right.
where they're voting, where it's like, no, I think the electric, and again, point of privilege, especially the black electorate,
Mhm.
and even going more specifically, black women.
Right.
Man, they are so freaking pragmatic and wonderful. They get it right.
Right.
They get
Yeah.
it right.
Yes. We owe our gratitude to the black women in this again.
Exactly. We got a couple of minutes, so I'm going to jump into this next story, but we can continue and talk about it even into the next segment. This is news coming out of the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. This is from the Washington Post, where the District of Columbia is being sued for police use of force during the 2020 racial justice protest. And the Partnership for Civil Justice accused DC police of violating demonstrators' rights to free speech and assembly during the 2020 racial justice protests by using excessive force with stinger grenades, foam and rubber bullets, and flashbang devices against those marching in the streets. I am so actually happy about this suit.
Mhm.
What do you think, Sheila?
Absolutely. Yeah, because it's just it's one more sign that we're making movement underneath what, the big explosion of chaos that didn't go
Mhm.
away because our attention changed. This is
Mhm.
when the actual what we were all speaking up for, and what
Mhm.
the country was screaming for, it's slowly getting put into the policies and the laws and into the justice system the way that it needs to
Mhm.
kind of poke away at that systemic change.
Absolutely. Let me read a little bit more about this story before we go to break, and we can continue talking about this on the other side. In this article from the Washington Post, it reads, while protesters marched demanding justice for George Floyd, because this was during that time
Right.
of right after the murder of George Floyd by police in Minneapolis. They also called for defunding or abolishing the police and ending police violence. The suit alleges that DC police used force against these protesters as collective punishment to retaliate against these messages and chill future protest participation and similar speech. So we're going to take a quick break, everybody. We're going to keep talking about this story. We want your thoughts about this as well. Because again, we're talking across the gambit of this arc of justice and how it
Mhm.
bends. And so we want to talk more about that. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame. Living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
Are you ready to take that first step towards true, unwavering inner happiness? Are you like thousands of people who have everything they need, not want, but need, and still can't seem to find happiness and fulfillment in their lives? If so, the Steps to Happiness show is for you. On my show, you will learn about the principles and practices that lead to true inner happiness. Because guess what? It isn't found in our external environment, but within ourselves instead. Together with my guests, we will explore the latest physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being practices. And together, we'll advise you on the actionable steps you can take towards a happier, more fulfilled, authentic life. So I invite you to join me each week on Soulivity TV on the Steps to Happiness show with me, Teresa Greco.
Hey there, this is Brian Wesley Johnson. I'm joined by Sheila Applegate, and we're back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. We're talking about this arc of justice that bends back and forth in our country, and news stories that are related to like Black History Month, but also like just what's happening in our world right now. And Sheila, we're talking about this story from the Washington Post about this lawsuit against DC police for police use of force during the 2020 racial protest in the wake of the murder of George Floyd. One piece I would just want to kind of go through here is the suit described a pattern of DC police using excessive force against crowds by deploying less lethal weapons. Now, these were once called non-lethal, but now dubbed less lethal in a nod to the fact that they do sometimes kill. And the plaintiffs basically are saying that they didn't hear warnings or requests to disperse, and that the use of sting ball grenades was inherently indiscriminate, and that the weapons exploded with hard rubber shrapnel that fired in any direction, and that some of that went into their legs, and that they claim they had third-degree burns, open wounds, and that they needed care and they couldn't get care. They had to wait like almost an hour to an hour and a half for medical to arrive.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
Yeah.
Wow. What, I think about this, and again, Sasha and I were talking about this yesterday, about in this country, the history has been when there is this expansion of rights and freedoms given to, I won't say given, demanded and protested for by minorities, right?
Mm-hmm.
That there's always a backlash to that.
Right. Well, one of the quotes I really like from the article that goes with that is Ferris said, "We were there to challenge the institutional police violence perpetrated against Black and brown people in the United States. In response, the DC police doubled down, trampling rights and inflicting injuries on those who would challenge their impunity."
Wow.
And to me, that just sums it all up, right? I mean,
right.
of course they're, I mean, I guess we could expect that they're doing that. We're saying, this is what needs to stop. And then they turn around and they do it to the people who are peacefully protesting to stop that.
And I want to make sure too that we say this is a lawsuit. Of course, we're not saying that anything. We're not saying that any specific judgment has happened yet. Also, this is not against the entire DC police force. These plaintiffs are suing specific police officers, according to this report, for their participation in this. So this is not across the whole police force. It's across unnamed DC police defendants. So they're wanting compensation and punitive damages against several police officers. So I just want to make sure that we say that. But go ahead, Sheila. Sorry.
Yeah, well, no, I think that's such an important point, because the term, there's just a few bad apples is used so often. And so I think it is really important that they went and they're not using names, so it's not a personal attack, but they
Right.
chose to put the lawsuit against specific police who did these actions, because then
Mhm.
we can't just, say, oh, these are just, this isn't who we are. It
Right.
is. These people did this. And this is what is happening here.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and it's gonna take a while to deconstruct the police who were, like we've talked about this before, the
Mhm.
police were birthed from the people who were hired to keep slaves in their place. Like, there was no disconnect and start over.
Right.
I think that's what some people maybe who aren't as involved and don't understand, that when we say defunding the police, it's about reconstructing it so that it doesn't it isn't based on the the system with which it.
Mhm. Well, and again, this goes back to education,
Right,
right?
right,
So how do you understand, Sheila, like how are people going to understand what you're saying if they have no context as to how modern policing was formed,
right,
right?
right.
And
You
so
wouldn't know. I mean,
right,
I
you
didn't
wouldn't
know
know.
it. My
Right.
daughter taught me, you
Right,
know?
exactly. And so, I look at this as, okay, so you have to ask yourself a question.
Right,
Why is that so? If the history is available and the information is there, then why isn't it taught? Why isn't it more widely known? Well, if people knew, then that would force people to possibly change the system,
right,
right?
right. And that's not what people wanted to do.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
do like going back to caste, the fact that it's related to Nazi Germany,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Germany actually, they were seen by the whole world, right? They were,
Mhm.
maybe everybody was doing it in their own way. We know
Mhm.
that has been done, and they even drew from us, but they were seen, they had to claim it. They did claim it, and education and teaching about it so it doesn't happen again is a huge part of their country right now.
Absolutely.
And we're in that beginning stage. We're just beginning that. Like, it has to come to the surface in order to reach that state.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that. We're going to keep talking about this a little bit in the next segment. Again, if you have any questions or comments, put those right on into our chat because we want to hear from you as well. We're going to take another short break. And when we come back, we'll have more with This Morning with Soulivity.
Hey there, this is Brian with Soulivity.com. I want to share some exciting news about our new Aspire Academy by Soulivity. Now, you probably want to know what the Aspire Academy by Soulivity is. Well, it exclusively connects you with people around the globe and who share the intense desire to improve themselves and create a better life for themselves today. There's classes, there's workshops, there's live events, and even more exclusively just for you. You see, I wanted you to have a safe space where you could grow, you can learn, and it would empower you in all aspects of your life, including your mind, your body, and your soul. So how do you get started? Well, it is so easy. First of all, the best part, joining Aspire Academy is absolutely free. Just click on the Join Now button, sign up, and begin your journey. As a special part of this invitation to you, there are some free courses that are available for you to try from our amazing roster of coaches and collaborators. It's our way of saying thank you for all of your support and being with us along our journey of expansion. I hope you enjoyed the Aspire Academy by Soulivity today. Start the process. Learn more about your passion, your purpose, and how to live a higher quality life.
And we're back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. I'm joined by my very special host, Sheila Applegate. My name is Brian Wesley Johnson. Sheila, I'll go to you to some final thoughts about everything that's happening in our world and these news stories.
The thought that came to mind as we were talking, I think it's actually a book title by Neil Donald Walsh, and it's The Storm Before the Calm. Which we often hear the term the calm before the storm, right? So when things are good and calm, we're like waiting for the big storm to come. But there's always a calm after the storm. And, when you go outside and you're like, oh man, the air feels so crisp and peaceful. And, we're in the storm, but the calm is coming. And so when I see these things rise up, I ache for the people, and at the same time, I have an excitement because I know what's coming.
I love that. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I'm hearing my ancestors talk to me right now when we have these conversations and these news stories come up, and I will tell our audience the same thing that he would tell me, and that is, if this information isn't readily available through the news sources that you have, then you have to go out and find the information. So read books like Caste. Read about the history of our country, but through the lens of Black America, like the 1619 Project. Yes, I know there's a lot of politics around that, but shouldn't that make you more curious around what's in it? Right? So you can decide for yourself, how you feel about it. Even before 1619, read the book Beyond the Mayflower. That's all about the transatlantic slave trade, before the Mayflower got here and after. And so learn about these things so that you can understand the plight of some of the minorities. Read books about the First Nation people and what they went through, so you can have, when you're trying to make decisions about how you feel about specifically who is your elected official and what they're saying and what they propose and what they oppose, you can make an informed decision about who you want to be in that seat. And so that's it. That's my final thought. Wow. Another great show, Sheila.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? I love talking about this stuff, right?
Me too.
You had a fantastic weekend, which you typically have a fantastic weekend. You and Zach,
This
hanging
was
out.
special though.
Right. Tell us about what happened. I mean, you did this fractal illumination gathering on Saturday, the 25th. My guess is you're going to be doing it again, but tell us about it.
We do it every few months. We're aiming for 4 times a year, every season, because it is connected to the earth, even though this time we were inside looking out beautiful windows into the snowscape. But yeah, it's an energy activation that we were gifted at the technique of, and people come together in person, and then also people receive it long distance if they are not able to be in person. And it's a gentle day that is so impactful, and it's just so much fun we do 4 activations, and each one people go deeper and deeper, and you watch people come in stressed about life and, guarded. And then by the time they leave, they're just so open and so much laughter and happiness and hope and giggle that it just fills me up every time.
No.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you have anybody who was there who kind of commented like after, like what their experience was?
Yeah, we get that's the other fun part. Now I don't have anything memorized, but we get all the texts coming in, both
Mhm.
from yeah, the people right there tell us or might text us when they leave about how, they came in worried about family or worried about these things or not
Mhm.
just having a lot of stress and that they feel hope again and they feel so much lighter. Um, One person describes it as leveling up, like in a video game.
Mhm.
Y- y-
Okay.
to the next
I
next
like that.
level. Yeah,
Level up.
one of the good ones. Then people write in who didn't spend the day with us in person. They're just joining in energetic. We have videos for them to know, how to get the most out of it. And just beautiful days of the way different people use the day. Some sitting peacefully, some going about their day,
Mhm.
but feeling the energy and getting new insights as they're among other people. So it's really exciting.
Wow. Now for people who don't know what the fractal illumination is, can you give them like a quick snapshot of what that is?
Yeah, it is an energy that was brought through to me and my partner Zach when we first got together. And he had just gotten back from Peru, where he did an ayahuasca
Wow.
ceremony deep in the jungle with a Kundero, a shaman. And it wasn't intentional, but when we came together, I, who already see things,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
I got activated, and this was different for me than my usual seeing, and just so much. I saw the Kundero, not knowing who it was, but when I described it out loud, Zach knew who it was. And then
Wow.
as the evening went on, he sat with me. He's like, it's like you're on ayahuasca because I had just had all these and downloads of symbols and everything and instructions on how to share this with people, even though there's
Wow.
no substances involved, just energy.
Wow. That's fantastic. Listen, well, we're out of time. So that's a great way to end the show.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me share. You can
Yeah,
tell I'm still
absolutely.
excited.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's going to be even more stuff we're going to be sharing with all of you about what's happening, more classes, more events, more workshops coming. Listen, on behalf of all of us, I want to say thank you for joining us again for another fantastic This Morning with Soulivity. We hope that you come back and join us every weekday at 8 a.m. Eastern for the live broadcast. You can listen to rebroadcast on Thursday and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific on KMET 1490 AM for all of you out on the West Coast. Well, until next time, keep having those real conversations with passion and purpose and create a best life today.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.